If you guys decided that it's time to pull the trigger on getting your first scooter, congratulations. You are about to enter a unified strategic force of two-wheeled soldiers rolling around the world to one day take it over. But now you have the hard question of which scooter to get. I mean, there's only like a couple thousand companies out there making these types of scooters, so that should be pretty easy. If that's you, then stick around, because I want to help you out. After riding about, probably 50 entry-level scooters, there's things that you got to have and things that you don't. And I want to make sure that you guys get the best bang for your buck. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this entry-level scooter from Fifth Wheel called the G11 Pro, talk about those features that you need to have on an entry-level scooter. This one is like your classic entry-level scooter. Can I say entry-level scooter one more time? Before I talk about the features, there's one thing that you have to do. You gotta make sure that you are buying from a reliable company. My brother fixes scooters, and he has some horror stories trying to get companies to send him the right parts, to respond, to be just a decent human being. The best way to find out if the company is reliable, I'll ask my good friend AI. AI, tell me about the customer service of Fifth Wheel. And when I did that, I found a mixed bag. There were some positive comments, there were some negative comments. Overall, AI said that it's pretty good for the price. That for the price part makes me laugh a little bit. Apparently, customer service is dependent on the price of the scooter. So that's news to me. The second thing that I'll do is I'll just go into Amazon and I'll search the company, and then I'll just check out the reviews.
Looks like 4.4 stars with 127 ratings. That's pretty good.
The next thing you want to look out for are three things: deck, stem, and handlebars. Let me explain. With the deck, you gotta make sure that it's long enough. If you're standing at a 45-degree angle like most people do when they ride, and it's not big enough to where your front foot is up here and your back foot is against the fender, it's no good. You wanna make sure that the deck is long enough. This one is just barely long enough for me. I'm a 5'11" guy with 10.5 powerful men's-sized shoes. The second thing is the stem height and angle. I've seen some companies that take a stem and angle it back towards the back of the scooter. So when you're riding, you're like this. This is no good. This one has a pretty comfortable posture. Stem is slightly leaned back, but there's a lot of space between my waist and the stem, which is what you want. Third thing is, I gotta move the scooter. There we go. Is the handlebar length. Gives you a nice open posture. When you're riding like this, that's no good. These are actually extra long because there's turn signals on each end of the grips, which I'll talk about later. And basically all I'm gonna talk about is the fact that they blink. So, guess I covered that. Next on my list is make sure that the scooter doesn't have a ton of bells and whistles. It sounds cool, but you don't want that. In my humble opinion, entry-level scooters should focus on two things: the ride and the feel. If it's got too many bells and whistles, they miss out on the meat and the potatoes of the meal and focus on the seasoning. Seasoning is no good if you don't have potatoes and meat to sprinkle it on. Apparently, I'm hungry. Time for food. If the ride sucks and the feel is terrible, then who cares about all the fancy stuff? This scooter is basically a prime example of focusing on what it matters. It has very few bells and whistles. In fact, the only bell it does have is a literal one. And so what are those basic things that it has done? Well, the first one is right back here. You got the same size motor as a lot of scooters in this price range have. And by the way, this is a $600 scooter. I remember the day when 600 bucks could buy you a lot of stuff. This has got a 500 watts. And when you change the speed modes to the highest speed level, and you got 3 of them, it goes pretty fast. That's 21 miles an hour. Oh dang, 21 miles per hour? That's pretty good for a beginner scooter. The Segway Max, which is one of the most popular beginner scooters out there, is topping out at 18, so you got 3 miles per hour faster. Now, as far as acceleration, this is just above average. There's some slower, some faster. This one's topping out in about a half a block. Now, when it comes to hill climbing ability, that is where it is definitely not average. The motor's kicking out 35 Newton meters of torque, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you take it up a 15% grade hill with a 180-pound rider, you go pretty fast. Fastest I got up that hill was 11 miles per hour, which is way faster than most of its competitors. So the ride so far is looking pretty good. Faster than average top speed, above average acceleration, and then you got some power for hills. Those are the things that you want in an entry-level scooter. Well, another feature, there we go, that you need are brakes. And these guys claim to have the world's smallest drum brake. I don't know why that's important or why they felt the need to tell the world that. But hey, if you're gonna be the world's something, 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 best of, might as well be a drum brake. Anyways, you got 2, front and back. And then you also have electronic brakes. I like to have disc brakes for a scooter. Drum brakes are nice because they're easier to adjust. Just don't have quite the stopping power as you get with disc brakes. Now the range is what you guys are mostly gonna care about. You need to know if this is gonna make the round trip from work back to your home. Well, if your work's about 20 miles, then you should be good to go. I did a short range test the other day. I took it out, so I went about 12 miles, had 900 feet of elevation gain, just did full throttle the entire time. And when I got back to my house, I only had one battery bar missing. Now the second battery bar was close to being gone. I'm just gonna round here a little bit and say you can get 12 miles with 2 battery bars. They got a range rating of 40 miles, and what I've seen is most times you just take the range rating, cut it in half, and that's what you'll realistically get. 20 miles for an entry-level scooter is pretty dang good. All right, so that wraps up the ride part of it. How about the fill? Well, the only thing I have to say about fill is never, ever, ever, never, ever
get a scooter with solid tires.
No, there are some scooters with solid tires that aren't that bad, but generally speaking, your eyeballs tend to vibrate quite severely, and I don't want that for you guys, because that's bad. That destroys the ride. This one has air-filled tires. They're 11-inch, and they're also puncture-proof. And so they put a lining in there, or they put some goo. Now, there are some people out there that would argue with me when it comes to air-filled versus solid, and I will tell you that you're wrong. Okay, that's my sermon. I'm done. I completed this part of it. I do not like solid tires, and that's it. That's all I got. Okay, there's a little bit more I have to say about the fill, and that's with the suspension. They say they put a new inverted hydraulic suspension, and it's it works, but it's a little bit rough, as you just saw as I passed over that bridge. It's a little bit stiff, but you have 40 millimeters of travel, so that's nice. Okay, last few features about this scooter. And the first one is it can carry up to 330 pounds. It's also foldable. There's a latch up here. Pull up, pull out all the way, and it comes back and locks to the very back there. And then you can just carry it like that. Not too heavy at 58 pounds. And then it's got an IPX4 water resistant rating. And then the last cool feature is in the app. So if you set a passcode to it and then you lock it, when you approach the scooter with your phone, all you have to do to unlock the scooter is just squeeze the brake lever. There's actually a few more features in the app. The first one is you can turn the cruise control on and off. You probably heard that little beeping noise as I've been filming. That's the cruise control kicking on. And the scooter doesn't have to be maxed out. As long as you hold a constant speed for a few seconds, it'll kick on. And then in the app, you can turn the headlight on, which you can also do by just pressing that button right there. Shows up on the screen. Also, if you press the brake levers, the tail light flares up. And let me show you the turn signals. There we go, look at that. And I think that's it. Everything has been covered. So tell me what you think. Do you think this is a good entry-level scooter or not? If I think back upon all the scooters that I have ridden, faster speed, above average range, acceleration is about average, brakes, not my favorite. I'd say those are below average. Ride and feel, very much above average. Hill climbing ability, off the charts. And the price isn't terrible. Again, I've tried a lot of scooters, kind of familiar with what you should get for the price. With this scooter, I truly feel like you're getting more than what you're paying for. If you want to check it out, I got the link in the bio. As always, I appreciate you guys hopping on here and checking out my content. And that's it. So I'm out. I'm gonna go eat some lunch. Quite hungry. Goodbye.